Hi, my name is Kimberly Newbury. Thanks so much, Suhoon, for the intro. We're delighted to be here. I am Vice President for Global Sales for the Global Travel Technology Group at Northstar Travel Group, of which WiT is a part. I'm here today on behalf of Phocuswright, our global primary research firm, to take a look at what's next for us as we look back and forward at some of the data we have for COVID's impact on the travel industry. So here we go on the winding road back home. I'd like you to think back with me to a time when you had a meaningful travel experience and give yourself a moment to enjoy it. Pause. Think about it. Susumu Tonegawa, the Nobel Prize winning molecular biologist and neuroscientist, is probably right. Recalling a memory is not like playing a tape recorder. It's a creative process. You probably have feelings that are energizing or inspiring or maybe relaxing. And I would argue travel is also an emotive process. Travel makes us feel. Back in 2019, when we all traveled to lands far away and COVID wasn't even a word we knew, this is what the travel market looked like. This chart is from October 2019. We presented it at WiT, and it showed a CAGR of 5%, which might not seem like huge growth, but it was higher than GDP. And we expected the travel market to grow by more than 1.6 billion from up to 2021. And it was still going from strength to strength. We grew from 38% in 2015 to over 50% in 2021 in online travel bookings alone. And here in the Asia Pacific region, the market was growing even faster. Online penetration was growing as the internet and smartphones made large inroads. From 2015 to 2021, there was a CAGR of over 15%. I tap into my Russian friends for deeply moving, passionate stories. And any good story worth telling has some ups and downs. Leo Tolstoy said that happiness is an allegory and unhappiness is a story. If that's true, our industry has enough experience over the last couple of years to rival war and peace. The impact of COVID was devastating. Global travel bookings fell over 60%, and the impact wasn't contained to a few countries or regions. In 2020, gross bookings were just over 550 billion. As you can see here, online bookings were at 228 billion in 2020, about half of all travel bookings. And interestingly, the online booking decrease was smaller than the total market decrease. Looking at APAC, we saw similar steep drops. In 2020, the total market was 184 billion, of which over half was online. This year, our projections are that the total market will grow to 244. One trend that we've seen during the pandemic is the acceleration of online adoption. Digital channels have really been significant in gaining share. 2 years ago, we expected that by 2020, we'd be around 51% online, but our projections show that it will be closer to 56. Another bright spot is that when we have signs of recovery from 2021 to 2022, it's been a little start and stop, with Omicron being much more of a stop. But we are finding that travel bounces back even more strongly after each wave. And Omicron, honestly, is really situationally no different from what we've seen before in terms of lockdowns and travel restrictions and other variants like our friend Delta. Haruki Murakami is an author and translator, as I'm sure you well know, and he said life is not like water. Things in life don't necessarily flow over the shortest possible route. This is wise advice to remember as we look at the data, both behind us and ahead of us, as we think about travel's comeback. Knowing life is not like water, it may not quite be the year that the waterfall comes raging back in 2020. We have seen intense desire and an essential need to travel, whether that's personal or professional. Consumer demand is driving travel's resilience. By 2022, we will see global travel back to a trillion dollars again. And by 2024, global travel bookings, while still under 2019 levels, will go up to 1.4 trillion. The online market in an absolute basis will be about 38% higher in 2024 than it was in 2020, and about 11% higher than it was in 2019. Again, it's a manifestation that when in-person interaction wasn't possible, people turned to online channels, not just for travel, but pretty much everything we needed or wanted to do. In a lot of cases, that produced dread. Zoom was often mispronounced Doom, but some of that behavior is likely to stick around. Compared to the overall travel market, the rate of growth online will also be faster, and Phocuswright projects bookings to surpass 2019 by 2024 and reach more than 750 billion. And in APAC, it's a very similar story. The online portion of the market continues to grow. The overall market will be 439 billion in 2024, which is nearly a full recovery to 2019 levels. Interestingly, the online share is much larger than it was previously. Global online penetration continues to grow, and in 2020, more than half of all travel, small as it was booked online. The US saw a big jump to 56% in 2020 and 2021, but we do expect that to moderate down as the segment mix goes back to normal levels. The APAC trajectory has also been great. In just 6 years, from 2015, online share has grown about 25 points. In fact, our projections indicate that it will probably double in 10 years, from 31% back in 2015 to 58% in 2024. And talking of online growth, where is it coming from? Actually, both suppliers and OTAs are gaining share. While supplier direct growth will grow from 24 to 29%, OTAs in the region are growing faster. They'll be up nearly 7 percentage points. That's a rate of 30% growth in 5 years. Travel remains central to most people's identity. We've seen evidence of this throughout the pandemic, and we know that people prioritize and move mountains to travel as soon as it's safe. Who travels for love finds 1,000 miles not longer than one. We love to travel. We love to see our families. We love to look our clients in the eye. We love to adventure, explore, and seek. Personally, I just returned from a trip where I was inspired by the love of my family to go visit. And we joke that it was a revision of Jules Verne's epic novel. Instead of Around the World in 80 Days, it was Around the World in 80 Tests. We took no fewer than 56 COVID tests in order to meet government regulations or just to meet up with our family and friends and know that everyone was safe. The sentiment and demand for travel is predisposing consumers to spend on travel. And any increase in safety or easing of restriction will only increase people's need and desire to travel because it is absolutely central to our identities. So as we return to the skies, we can see that air passenger demand has exceeded all expectations in the US. We've seen passenger levels trending strongly, upwards of moving upwards since early 2021. Most of it is domestic, but when it's possible to take international trips from the United States or from US to Mexico, for example, we're definitely seeing that consumers are taking those trips. This is actually happening to the point that some airlines are having to pull back on capacity because operational areas are not able to keep up. This just proves that pent-up demand is real. What is driving this upward trend? People are traveling despite mask mandates, despite in-flight service limitations, despite the potential for cancellations, and despite all of the uncertainty that comes along with it. Why are they willing to take these risks now? Vaccinations. The state of vaccination is really increased our ability and need to travel, and people are feeling a lot more confident in taking those risks as more and more people globally are vaccinated. Here are some encouraging headlines that we've seen recently that give us a lot of hope for the future, knowing that pent-up demand is being unleashed. So reimagine your business, innovate your strategy, and stay strong for the future. A little more knowledge from Murakami: whatever you're seeking won't come in the form you're expecting. So you will have to fall down 7 times and stand up 8. Thanks very much for your time, and we look forward to seeing you throughout the rest of WiT.